So Holy Prophet ﷺ prepared a full group of people who were named Ashabu Suffah. Ashabu Suffah. They became the torch bearers and founders of Sufism in history of Islam. And they were direct students of Holy Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. And all other companions, they were not specialists in Sufism, but at the same time, occasionally they also used to practice it. So these both groups were prepared by Holy Prophet. This was a speciality, as some of them became the people of war, some of them became people of knowledge, some of them became people of law and jurisprudence, some of the companions became people of tafsir, exegesis of Quran, some of them were very famous in act of charity, supporting financially the whole of Ummah. So in the time of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, these specialities had already started. Same was in the time of Tabi'een, followers, and the same carried on in the time of Atba'ut Tabi'een, the successors of followers. So at that time, Quran mentioned 4 particular duties of Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Quran says, "Yatlu alaykum ayatina, wa yuzakkikum, wa yuallimukum al-kitab, wal hikmah, wa yuallimukum ma lam takunu ta'lamun." When companions used to sit in the company of Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used to recite the verses of Holy Quran on them. So some of the companions became specialists of reciting verses of Holy Quran, specialists in recitation of Holy Quran. So those who specialized in recitation of Holy Quran, they became Huffaz and Qurra. Through them, Quran, the book of Almighty Allah, was saved, protected and secure, and it was conveyed from generations to generations. Then there were some of them, Quran says, "Yatlu alaykum ayatina wa yuzakkikum." We come to the third thing. Then said, "Wa yuallimukumul kitaba wal hikmah." I will take the second matter later. So the third category was yuallimukumul kitab. So some of the companions became scholars, became the jurists, became exegetical specialists, became authorities on Islamic law, like Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, like Abdullah ibn Umar, like Abdullah ibn Abbas, like Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. So some of them became specialists, mujtahid, lawyers, jurists, specialists of law. So through them, the law of Islam was propagated, communicated to the Ummah. Through them, the Sharia commandments were communicated and compiled. And second word was used, yuallimukumul kitab wal hikmah. Holy Prophet ﷺ teaches you kitab, the commandments of kitab, and wisdom of kitab. Wisdom implies logic, philosophy, reasoning, science. So some of the companions became specialists in the logic of Quranic commandments. Some of them specialists in the science of Quranic commandments, in scientific and logical interpretation of commandments. So jurisprudence emerged out of that, logic emerged out of that, philosophy emerged out of that, sociology emerged out of that, embryology emerged out of that. So all various religious and secular sciences emerged from Quran through the fountain of Al-Hikmah. All religious sciences, juridical sciences, jurisprudential sciences, and legal sciences, these sciences emerged from Quran through the fountain of Yuallimukumul Kitab. So recitation of Quran, of Holy Prophet's act, created Qurra, the Qaris. The legal interpretation of Quran created jurists and scholars and ulama in the ummah. And wisdom, hikmah, created the philosophers and scientists and interpreters and intellectuals for the ummah, so that Islam, the deen of Islam, may be interpreted and reinterpreted and presented and reinterpreted and presented in a logical way, in a scientific way, in a methodological way, in a jurisprudential way, according to the times of various ummah. Now these were two sources. Now come to the second source which I left. Yatlu alaykum ayatina wa yuzakkikum. I took first and third. Tilawatul ayah and talimul kitab wal hikmah. I have taken two. Now we come to the second thing. Quran says that this is again the duty of Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What? Yuzakkikum. He purifies your inner selves. He purifies your inner selves. So those companions and those followers among the ummah of Holy Prophet, those who specialized in recitation of Quran, they became qaris and they became hafiz and Quranic reciters. Those who specialized in talimul kitab, they became the jurists and the lawyers of Islam and a'immah. Those who specialized in hikmah of Quran, they became the Muslim philosophers, they became Muslim scientists, they became the logic specialists. And those who specialized in Yatlu alaykum ayatina wa yuzakkikum, and he purifies your inner selves. He purifies your inner self. So outer things are finished. Now this is a concentration or your inner part of personality. He purifies not your bodies, your nufus. Qad aflaha man zakkaha. He is the successful person who has purified his soul. So now he purifies the souls. He takes bad likings, wishes, lusts, greeds out of your soul. He purifies your inner self from the inner existence of sins. And he puts Allah's love in your soul and in your spirit. And he puts the nearness of Almighty Allah. He gives the taste of nearness of Almighty Allah to your soul and heart. So this act of purification of self, tazkiyah, qad aflaha man zakkaha wa qad khaba man dassaha. The one who has purified his inner self, he is really successful person. And the one who couldn't purify it, he may be a scholar, he may be a exegesis specialist of Quran, he may be a jurist, he may be a speaker, he may be a preacher, he may be anything. But if his batin, his soul is not purified, he is not on a right track. He is not saved. He is not successful. So that's why the second prophetic obligation was mentioned, yuzakkikum tazkiyatun nufus. So those who carried out among the companions of Holy Prophet, among their followers, among their successors, among the ummah, those who carried out the function of self-purification because of tazkiyah and safa. Self-purification means safa'ul qalb, purification of heart, purification of soul. So because of this safa, the word tasawwuf came into existence. And those who became specialists of purification of heart and soul, they were known as Sufis. Those who became specialists in Quranic recitation, they were known as Qaris, Qurra. Those who became specialists in Quranic interpretation and Hadithic interpretation, they were known as jurists and ulama and fuqaha. Those who became specialists of hikmah, they were known as philosophers and hukama. And those who became specialists in inner purification of heart and soul, they were known as Sufiya. So it means in the same way as the ulama are successors of Holy Prophet, through the channel of yu'allimukumul kitab, as the hukama, the philosophers, the scientists are the followers of Holy Prophet, through the channel of al-hikmah, as the hufaz and qurra, Quranic reciters, are the followers and servants of Holy Prophet, through the channel of yatlu alaykumul kitab, tilawatul ayat. In the same way, the Sufis, the saints, the awliya and Sufiyat, they are true followers of Holy Prophet through the fountains of tazkiyatun nufus. And the fifth, yu'allimukum ma lam takunu ta'lamun. When their inner selves become purified, then Almighty Allah reveals His secrets unto them. Their secrets are unveiled. Then they start knowing the hidden secrets. And from Sufi, they become Arif. So Ashabu Sufa, this was the group of Sufiya, the Sufis among the companions of Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ashabu Sufa. And the same people, these were in the time of companions, in the time of their followers, Tabi'een. Imam Hasan Basri, a great Tabi'i, says that I met a Sufi, and you can find in every authentic book. Imam Hasan al-Basri, the great Tabi'i, who was born in the days of Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, 20 Hijri he was born. He says, I met a Sufi performing tawaf around the Kaaba. Imam Hasan Basri says, Ra'aytu Sufiyan yatufu bil Kaaba. He was performing tawaf of Kaaba. I saw him, I wanted to help him financially. I wanted to give him something. I took some dinars and tried to put in his hands, and he didn't accept. He said, Allah is sufficient for us. So those who have made Allah sufficient in their life, they are Sufis. And Sufis are from Safa of Qalb, purification of heart, purification of soul, purification of inner self. The last thing, a beautiful example, for example, the law and jurisprudence of Islam requires you to perform your wudu, to stand facing towards Kaaba and pray according to the commandments of Sharia. You have done everything, so according to Sharia, according to Islamic law, your prayer, your salat is complete. So I want to explain what is the link between the Sufism and the Sharia or the fiqh. Fiqh says, Islamic law and jurisprudence says, your prayer, your salat is kamil. Tasawwuf, Sufism says, not yet. Not yet. Now you ask, why my prayer is not yet complete and perfect? Sufism says that you were facing towards Kaaba, but your heart was not facing towards Allah. So fiqh is interesting to put you straight facing towards Kaaba, and tasawwuf is interested to put your heart straight facing toward Almighty Allah, the Rabb of Kaaba. So if your bodily, this face is toward Kaaba, your salat is perfect according to fiqh. And if your heart is facing towards Rabbul Kaaba, the Lord of Kaaba, then your salat is perfect according to tasawwuf Sufism.